I made a commitment to the American people when I ran for president that I would bring America's military involvement in Afghanistan to an end. While it's been hard and messy, and yes, far from perfect, I've honored that commitment. I know my decision will be criticized, but I would rather take all that criticism than pass this decision on to another president of the United States.
That's President Biden 1 year ago this week as American troops rushed to leave Afghanistan while the Taliban retook power. And while a new intelligence assessment this morning finds that al-Qaeda has not regrouped in the country, despite the presence of the group's top leader, who was killed in a CIA drone strike last month, the country remains a dangerous place. Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, is on the ground reporting on how life has changed since the takeover. And Ian, you were right there in the middle of it all as Kabul fell. How does it look a year later?
Yeah, I mean, I think for many people, the worst-case scenario has come to pass. I mean, on one level, of course, the very people that we spent 20 years fighting against are now the governments here. I mean, these are Taliban fighters behind me here. You see them riding around the streets with pickup trucks, some of them carrying American-made weapons. They're also having to face an insurgency of their own. You've got ISIS-K, ISIS Khorasan, active in the country, suicide bomb attacks, targeted assassinations. And as you're reporting there, of course, we have al-Qaeda in the country and some other terrorist groups. We spoke to Abdul Kahar Balki, he's the spokesman for the foreign minister. He's insisting that they still don't know that Ayman al-Zawahiri, the head of al-Qaeda, the world's most wanted terrorist, who was killed in that US drone strike, was even here in Kabul. I made the point to him that you can't travel 200 yards without being stopped by the Taliban here. It seems impossible that they couldn't have known that he was in town. But he doesn't deny that they have a safe haven here, but he, like this US intelligence assessment, insists that they don't represent a threat. I think the biggest change, though, is in terms of the economy and women's rights. On the economy, over 90% now lack reliable access to food, and that has got significantly worse. You're seeing a 60% rise in food insecurity, for example, but the situation for women and girls is dire. We saw protests here on the streets just in the last 24 hours, 40 women bravely taking to the streets calling for bread, freedom and work. And the response of the Taliban was to open fire over their heads. We saw these horrible scenes, some of the women apparently beaten, as we've seen in other instances.
And I've seen reports that 900,000 Afghans have lost their jobs over the past year. You mentioned it being an impoverished country. It's always been impoverished. It's actually worse now?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, there is discussion that unemployment could reach 40%. I mean, that figure is hard to comprehend. You know, a significant proportion of the population living on less than $1.90 a day. Many people with absolutely nothing. We've seen food handouts, for example, from the World Food Programme. For many people, that is their only form of sustenance. We're also seeing these programs to try and train women and girls to give them some skills so they can earn money. And a lot of them have to now go to work because their husbands have lost jobs in this unemployment sweep that's going on across the country. I think the biggest impact, though, is in terms of hunger. We visited, I mean, there were tragic scenes. This maternity hospital that was packed with severely malnourished babies, many of them 2 to 3 in a bed, and the numbers of people waiting to get in are much greater than the numbers of people admitted and taken care of. And the trend here is much worse because the amount of aid is going down and the demand, the humanitarian crisis, is getting worse. John.
Ian, thank you for that report, and please stay safe over there.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.